Welcome to Art Ed Radio, the podcast for art teachers. This show is produced by the Art of Education University, and I'm your host, Tim Bocats. All right, welcome to August. Welcome to the August Mailbag. We are coming to you today from the DePaul Art Museum, where we just finished the NOW conference. Not only is Amanda Hine here. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, hello.
We also have Sarah Krajewski. Sarah, how are you?
Good, what's up?
It's excited to have an extra guest on the podcast, and I know we have a ton of questions today. We've been inundated with Instagram questions and emails and voicemails.
Oh my gosh, we're
I know you're excited about it.
So excited.
So we're going to try and get through a lot of questions. We're going to try and keep our answers fairly short. I know I like to talk slowly and talk a lot, and I'm going to try and remedy that today. But we want to get a few different perspectives and kind of see how that goes. One disclaimer, we're recording right next to the L station, so you may hear some trains in the background. We've also had sirens all day, so who knows what's going to be in the background of this podcast.
This is a real life recording.
Yeah, it's just all live, all three of us in a room with God knows what's going on outside. So,
we just really want you to feel like you're here with us.
Yes, so that'll be great. So we always like to do story time to start our mailbag episodes. And so Amanda, it's been an interesting few days in Chicago. What stands out to you for story time?
I mean, I think the thing that stands out the most to me is the lamps in our hotel.
Oh my gosh.
So we're staying in Printers Row, which is a very cool historic neighborhood in Chicago. Our hotel is kind of like book themed, and it's very cool. It's like a very
nice,
well-designed hotel. But we got into, all three of our rooms weren't ready, so we all went to the one to drop our stuff, and we walked in and we just were stopped in our tracks because there were the most interesting hotel lamps that you've ever seen.
They all really had something to say. is where we'll start.
Right. And so then we just started discussing, do you like the design elements of this lamp? And what do you think of this one? And which one is the best? And then we got a little stuck. And
we were fighting over which one is the best.
Correct.
We could not come to a consensus.
That's right. And so then we decided, as true teachers, I think Janet Taylor would be so proud of us. We made a lamp rubric.
We absolutely did. And I drew little thumbnail sketches, and we had categories. I believe it was glow,
yes,
and function and resemblance, because a lot of them looked like things
one
too,
looked
like
a seashell
or
a telescope.
And there's another one. What was
Vibes.
It? Vibes. Oh,
now
vibes.
Janet would not be proud of us for putting vibes.
There was a lot of subjective components to the rubric, but it was very fun.
Legitimate rubric when you say vibes on there, but it was still fun. It was good. I did not like it as much because my favorite lamp did not do well on the rubric. So,
I'm so sorry.
I know, so obviously I'm blaming the rubric rather than my own taste, but it's fair. So,
it was fun.
Yeah, it was good, and it was a good way to kind of kick off our week in Chicago here. It's been awesome. We had a great conference, and we just wrapped up less than an hour ago and decided we should record a podcast.
Why not?
So let's answer some questions. Amanda, do you want to dip into the Instagram mailbag to start us out?
I sure do. Okay, our first question comes from Carrie Nara on Instagram, and this is short and sweet because I put up a question box. It says, how to get rid of BTS anxiety. Now, I'm assuming that is not a pop band, but how to get rid of back to school anxiety. So what do we think?
What if K-pop gives me anxiety?
Well, then don't listen to it before school. Let's
not go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so ideas on how to get rid of back-to-school anxiety. One, I think for me, remember I'm going to try and make this quick, overarching thing is just to take care of yourself as best you can. Like, if you need to drink lots of water, do that. If you need to get so many hours of sleep, do that. If you need to find time to exercise, do that. You know yourself, you know your body, you know the mental side of things as well. So do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I would say find your support system and find somebody to talk to, whether that's a colleague down the hall, another art teacher from across town, or just, your significant other who can help you talk through ideas. Just somebody that, can support you with what you're doing, that you can bounce ideas off of, and that can give you kind of the partner that you need to get through everything that you need to do for back to school. And then I would say just make sure that you're prepared to the level that you want to be. Some people need their first 6 weeks planned out. Other people are like, I'm just get supplies and we'll wing it on day one. It's different for everybody, but just get to a place that you know you'll feel comfortable walking in at the beginning of school. So, Sarah, what about you? Ideas on how to cure back to school anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially from the conference, one of the big words that I heard over and over again was joy, and finding the joy in what we do and trying to just really focus on the fun and what makes our job so amazing. So I, especially at the end of last year, would take a moment, and when my kids were working, I would just stand back and just watch them, which sounds so interesting, but just looking at, across the room, a student just like quietly focusing or chatting with their friend about something, and I don't often take the time to do that. So being a little bit slower, intentional, and looking up and finding the joy in what the students are doing around us.
All right, Amanda?
Yeah, I echo all of that. I don't think you should do what you see other people doing. I think you should do what you want to be doing, whether that's planning ahead so you can relax or vice versa. Really just taking the time you need and like I always say, like, look into your heart and see what you want to do. The other thing I would say is, like, you and I were talking about, Sarah, maybe all of us were talking about this, like, the fun doesn't have to, like, leave your life once school starts.
I totally think
right?
that. I'm like, school's here, I don't have a life now.
Right. So maybe planning something for like 3 to 4 weeks into the school year that you can look forward to, something on a weekend, something with your family, something non-school related, so that you have something to look forward through sort of through the beginning of the school year might be a good tip for you.
All right. Excellent. Next question. This is actually going to be a voicemail.
Hi, my name is Carla. I teach in Orfordville, Wisconsin. Last year we started teaching, or I had to start teaching 4K, which I've never done before. Do you have any tips or thoughts for easy lesson plans for these little kiddos when their attention span is so short and they come in after recess in mid-afternoon when they're tired and cranky? Any advice would be super appreciated. Thank you.
All right, Sarah, you teach elementary. Can you take this one?
Absolutely. So I do teach 4K, and I only see them once a month, but when I see them, it is a really, it's an interesting level because they're so small. So I typically tend to gravitate towards stations, have a lot of different things set up around my room, and then just move students from one station to another, or since they're so little, just bring the stations to them and have them stay where they are and just encourage them to use those fine motor skills and get them used to what it feels like to be in the art room. So I feel like it's less about having this perfect, amazing product at the end, but instead getting them comfortable and safe with what it feels like to be in the art room, what it feels like to get their hands on materials, and then creating and just using their motor skills a little bit too. So things like manipulatives, practicing, stamping, big papers, banners, like huge stuff that they can just kind of get messy and play and have fun. That's gonna cultivate their love of learning.
That's awesome advice.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yes, please.
So my own personal kids went to a Reggio preschool, which is all about sort of like all of these languages that kids have, and the philosophy is that there are 100 different languages, and just echoing a lot of what Sarah said, a lot of like loose parts, experiences. Like I would not look to make projects necessarily, but to give them experiences in the art room with lots of different materials. I think that is excellent advice.
All right, excellent. Amanda, can you give us our next Instagram question?
I sure can. This is by Tara Tig on Instagram, and they say, any big ideas on how to manage supplies and students while teaching on an art cart?
Oh boy.
I'll just inhale.
I'm having flashbacks to 20 years ago when I was teaching elementary, and my 7 schools that I went to, I was on a cart at 4 of them. So I would just say there's a lot of things. Classroom management, when we're talking managing students, I would enlist the help of classroom teachers. I don't know if they're going to be in the room with you or not, but, lean on them for a little bit of management. Or if they're going to be leaving, just talk to them like, hey, what do I need to know? what strategies work, what are your best attention getters, just so you don't have to set up all of your own routines in every different classroom that you go to, and just kind of ask, what works for that class, and just talk to classroom teachers about that. I would say spend a little bit of time just thinking through what's going to happen during a class. Like when you walk in, kids are going to be ready for you. Like there's no transition time there. So how do you handle that? What happens as you're setting up supplies? What do you want kids to be doing? Like there's no time in between classes there. You're moving and going constantly. So just kind of think through what you're going to be teaching and what kids need to be doing at each step along the way. And hopefully you're not caught by surprise by too many things there. As far as supplies, I would say organize by lesson, not by medium. So again, just kind of think through what you're going to have happen. Like let's say you're teaching a lesson on perspective, and then you need paper, you need rulers, you need pencils, you need erasers, you need whatever you're going to do to add color. And so you just put all of that stuff together and say, oh, this is my perspective bin, and you put all of those supplies together. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to teach painting, I need this and that and this and that, okay, just put all of that together beforehand and just kind of group your supplies by the lesson that you're teaching, not just keeping them all spread out and trying to grab 17 different things each time you're teaching a new lesson. And then lastly, sorry, I'm trying to make it quick, I would say if you can avoid it, do not transport or do not store artwork. You don't have any space. You're on a cart. So talk to those classroom teachers again, talk to your colleagues, figure out where you can keep work in between classes, where you can store things, and that's going to make supply management a lot easier if you don't have to transport things around.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that too. When I was art on a cart, I had a little Tupperware, well, kind of a big Tupperware that had our student sketchbooks in it, and then also just had all the projects and the materials they were using, so that when I came to their classroom, I'd just go grab the art tub that had their stuff in it, and then I had everything that I needed with the exception of my materials. And then I also noticed too, when I go into the classroom, it kind of feels like I'm roommates with the classroom teacher a little bit. Right. So I have to be like, okay, what are our rules? Who does the dishes? That kind of thing, right? So instead of being, maybe thrown off by that, kind of try to look at it in a positive way, which is really understanding the people you work with more, those peers, because it will bring you a little closer. Like, I've never felt like I understood my teachers that I work with more than when I was on a cart and could see their room and how they work and the space in which they thrive. So it can be a really cool way to connect with your teachers.
Yeah, I learned so much about classroom management, both what to do and what not to do,
yes.
from traveling around to all those different classrooms. You can see like, yes, this strategy works for me, or no, I'm never going to do that. Mm-hmm. And so just look at it as a learning opportunity as well.
Mm-hmm. I have not had direct experience with this, so I'm going to point you to some resources that we have.
Fair.
So we have an incredible pro pack from Lindsay Moss, who has had this experience, and I really like this pro pack for all of the things that you both are mentioning, tips and tricks and tools and strategies, but also the mindset that she brings to it, and how she attempts to reframe thinking about like, what don't you have to do if you're on a cart? Like, you do not have to clean and maintain a classroom. That is actually incredible, and it frees up a ton of your time. Yeah. So I really think that pack is about how to not just survive, but really thrive on a cart. We also have an excellent article that Sarah wrote called How to Work Smarter, Not Harder with Art on a Cart this year. Mm-hmm. And we have a 2-part podcast episode that maybe we can put in the show notes.
Yeah, we will link to that in the show notes as well. All right. One more Instagram question?
We can do one more.
Okay.
All right. This is from Fringe & Co. on Instagram. And all it says, again, this was a question box, back to school, middle school, art 1 and 2 ideas, please.
All right. I will throw 3 quick ideas at you. Kids love to talk about themselves, especially in middle school. And so I got this from Melinda Moen. She actually did this at the Now Conference kickoff. She does symbolic sketchbook covers with her kids. She did an art making activity with us, which was a blast. And she has them draw 10 different pictures, icons, symbols, whatever it may be, that may represent them. She doesn't make them write them down first thing, just get drawing, and then after they draw all of those on their sketchbook cover, then she'll talk to them like, why did you draw this? What does this tell me about you? Etc., etc. And starts a really good conversation that kind of engages kids, lets the teacher get to know them, and then they'll add some color, they'll add some different lines and designs in between all of those images, and then that's their sketchbook cover for the year. So I think that's a great way to start for both teacher and student. I have a big one that I actually stole from my wife, this activity I did it with high school, but she's a 7th grade history teacher. She does a quiz about the teacher. Just going back to kids wanting to talk about themselves. It's fun to flip that and have them learn about the teacher a little bit. And so without them knowing anything about you, you just ask them like 20 different questions about your favorite cereal and how many pairs of shoes you own and whatever else you may want to do.
What's your favorite cereal?
Lucky Charms.
How many shoes do you own?
Okay, so I used to own like 30-some pairs, but I've really kind of cut down, and I'm at less than 10 now.
Oh, wow, I've really ramped up. I would say I'm at 30.
I'm not sure.
Do you have a favorite cereal?
I do? Okay. Lucky Charms. Well, also say honestly, it's been a newfound love because I never got to have that cereal when I was a kid, and now I'll treat myself and just have like just a sugar cereal because I don't ever eat cereal.
Honestly, for like 40 years of my life, it has been my favorite cereal. I love Lucky Charms.
I like Golden Grams.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I don't like the marshmallows of the Lucky Charms. They're like a little too squeaky on my teeth.
Sorry,
it's an audio medium. I would like to note that Tim rolled his eyes really hard when I said that.
All right, I feel like we're off track. So, Amanda, I'm going to send it back to you. Middle school Art 1 and Art 2 ideas, please.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more general, but I would say pick something with a very low and or multiple entry points. So giving students choice up front right away, start with something easy, start with something fun. We kind of talked about this, I think, previously on the podcast about like this year especially, yes, we want our curriculum to be rigorous, but we also want our students to do the curriculum. And I think there's a balance there. And so I think first couple of weeks, like really, really easing in, especially at the middle school level, they're just like a ball of hormones. And they, some of them have low confidence. Some of them haven't had art in a while. Depending on what grade level they're at or what you're teaching. So I think starting out easy and fun is a great way to go. And then I like quiz about the teacher. I would flip that and say also quiz them about themselves. Do a student survey of some kind. You can make it fun and engaging. You can have them respond with emojis to different things or circle things to make it a little bit easier for them. And then once you figure out what mediums they like, what they're interested in, tailor your project to those interests. Design your projects so that they can bring their interests into them as well.
All right, Sarah, do you have anything you want to add? I know you're not a middle school teacher. But...
Right. I used to teach middle school for 4 years. I was K-8, so I had the little ones and the middle school kiddos. And I think part of it is just giving those kids an ability to create some ownership over their school, especially as, maybe the older students or the kids that are just coming into school. It's really nice to kind of lean into having things on display pretty quickly. So maybe they're making like roll paper for the hallways, or maybe they're making things to hang or something where there's stuff already up to sort of beautify their school, and they're taking that time to start making art right away. I know there are differing opinions on how to start your art lesson. Are we going over materials and rubrics and things like that? But I'm always a pretty firm believer in let's get some art supplies in their hand and have fun and turn on music, and let's really kind of create that safe, exciting, fun space as quickly as possible so kids know that this is a place where they're loved and they can have some fun.
Yeah,
I just thought of a really good idea for the first day.
Go.
I think it's called the Best One Day Art Lesson Project or something. It's on YouTube. We can link to it. It's a video I made 100 years ago. You can see me as a baby, but it is essentially something you can create in one class period. It's tie-dye with oil pastels. It's very tactile. Every kid is successful. It's an excellent lesson for any grade level, but I think middle schoolers would really enjoy that, and it would be a very easy thing for you to set up and a very easy thing for them to do to get making on the first day.
And especially those little pieces, if you want to do something kind of small, it can become a really quick collaborative project for the whole school. So if everybody's doing a tiny little 4x4 square, all of a sudden you got 500 kids and that becomes a big piece that can take over your school and welcome everybody.
Yes, very well said. I forgot that video existed, to be honest, but now that you remind me, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. When I put it in the show notes, can I say, watch baby Amanda here?
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
Good. All right, we need to wrap things up. We have one final question here, and this is going to be another voicemail.
Hi, my name is Joanne Gusta, and I'm an art teacher in Knoxville, Tennessee. I teach K through 5. And I'm getting ready to plan for this year, and I'm looking for an art teacher planner, and just wondering if there was something that you guys use or would recommend, especially for art teachers, on a rotational schedule. Thank you so much. Bye.
Excellent question. Thank you. I do not use a planner. I use legal pads and sticky notes. So I don't think you want to talk to me about this one. So Amanda, can you take this one?
Absolutely. I mean, I use a planner all the time, every day of my life. I'm out of the classroom and I'm still using a paper planner. I think you have to first figure out if you want digital or paper. I like paper personally, but whatever system works for you is great. And I always really made my own, either completely from scratch using some sort of grid system that represented my weekly schedule. I like to see a whole week at a glance because I like to see when I have different classes. Or the other thing I did was buy like a super, super simple planner that just basically had a series of boxes for each week, and then I could customize from there. So I'm not super helpful here because I don't have one to suggest specifically, but you could look for something super simple that you could modify yourself. Sarah, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I definitely agree. You kind of have to decide what helps you visualize your week. I mean, I like to see the entire day for sure, at least at once, kind of like flat laid on my desk, but it's kind of up to you what makes you feel like you're the most successful. There are also, like, art teachers are creative and they love to design and make things that are exciting to look at, and so you can find so many art educators if you look on like Teachers Pick Teachers or Etsy or different places that make digital planners for art teachers or teachers specifically, and there are so many, but the first one that came to mind was Kayla Kozlow. She has some amazing, just beautiful like rainbows and colorful fun things that are specifically directed at art teachers because she is an art teacher, so she knows how to design something that she thinks is going to be pretty successful for people that are in the classroom. So definitely do a little investigating if you want to find something that is made for art teachers.
All right, excellent advice. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. So, Amanda, Sarah, thank you. It's been a fun week. Glad we could close it out with the podcast, and I appreciate you both coming on.
Thanks. Yeah, we got to go find some more lamps.
Heck yeah.
Again, thank you to Sarah and to Amanda for coming on and recording this with me. And thank you to all of you listeners who also attended the NOW conference. I hope that the conference gave you some new ideas and some inspiration for the upcoming year. And I hope the podcast today answered a few of everyone's questions. Maybe put your mind at ease just a little bit as we start thinking about the upcoming school year. So thank you for listening. Art Ed Radio is produced by the Art of Education University with audio engineering from Michael Crocker. Thank you, as always, for listening. And we're going to end the episode with one last voicemail. This is from Sean. It's not a question, but an affirmation that I really appreciated. It really made me feel good. So I wanted to share that and also say a thank you to Sean for the kind words.
Hi, my name is Sean Gosk. I teach at Mount Olive Middle School in New Jersey. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to call to say that I loved the NOW conference. It's fantastic, so informative, and the AfterPass is great. I do use it all year long. So thanks so much for all you do for art teachers.